You're listening to Your Rivers Are Wrong, the podcast. My name is Merle. I'm here with my good friend Dante, and we're here to build worlds and tell their stories. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Good morning, or evening, or afternoon, whenever you may be. Welcome back to the Your Rivers Are Wrong podcast. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Dante.
And I'm also one of the hosts, and my name is Merle.
And we're here as we are every week to talk about the wonderful whimsies of world building, the arts and aesthetics of setting up a setting and telling stories born from it.
Mm-hmm.
Back at it again.
Back at it. Let's go.
So before we kick this episode off, we actually have not one, not two, but three landmarks we have to talk about. If you'll entertain me with this little presentation, the first landmark we have for today is that, of course, it's episode 25.
Hey.
25 is huge. We're halfway to 50, a quarter of the way to 100 episodes. Big milestone. Our podcast is currently in their quarter life crisis, kind of deciding what they're going to do moving forward with their life.
Like us.
Just like us. A little too close to home.
Sorry. Keep going.
No problem. Second landmark is that this is officially the first episode that crosses the 6-month mark.
Ooh,
so we started our first episode on December 24th. So it has been 6 months since we started recording.
I didn't even realize that. Holy shit. That's like half a year of our lives that we've been podcasting now. Did you realize that?
Of our lives? Oh, half a year of our lives.
Yeah.
I said half of our lives.
Oh, I mean, eventually maybe, but yeah.
Eventually maybe.
Stretch goals.
Stretch goals. And finally, of course, the last landmark for today is that it is our wonderful co-host Marily's birthday.
Yay!
Thank you for coming.
It's me.
Happy day of birth. Happy day of arrival.
Thank you kindly. Happy day of arrival. Whoa, that's like
day of
super
arrival.
Sci-fi. But I'm here for it. No, I like it. Yeah.
Thank you for taking time out of your birthday to record this episode of our podcast.
Always. It's a pleasure.
Do you have any plans for the rest of the day?
Honestly, I've been so confused by times and months that my birthday has come almost as a surprise for me. Like, I'm sort of realizing it, but I'm so not in the vibe. So I feel like this weekend, I'm gonna like do something more solid than it is today. But I've got like very good mail and already some nice little presents and people giving me good birthday wishes. So the vibe is getting better. Yeah.
Oh, do you get like physical gifts as from mail? Is that a thing?
I mean, I didn't until I opened the mailbox today, and then I did. So that's a thing now.
Oh,
and
nice.
It's great. Yeah. I haven't opened it because it was like a minute before, and then somebody was like, hey, there's a package for you, and it looks very fancy. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
So I will be like in eager awaital for opening this. So that'll be exciting.
I don't think awaital is a word.
Awaiting, awaital. Eager wait. I can English. There we go.
Amazing.
It's beautiful. So
okay.
So that's exciting. And I think one of them is from my grandma because the handwriting is very cutesy and like
great.
Very slanted, you know, like the typical, yeah. And I'm very happy because she's super good at sending solid, beautiful letters. So that's very nice.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I don't really have any updates to provide.
I mean, you had a good birthday cake as well. In fact, we only realized,
true.
I think maybe like a month ago or something, that our birthdays fall like, 6 days apart? Yeah.
6 days apart
So
within the same
you
week.
just had it, actually. So a very late happy birthday to you as well, my dear co-host.
Thank you.
You've shown me a wonderful picture of a very unique looking cake of yourself.
Right.
That I feel like you should share with the audience for a sec.
Yeah, it's made the rounds among my friends.
As it should, yeah.
I got a typical Carvel cake this year, which is wonderful. But the decorations on it, which had basically pictures of me, but photoshopped into the shape of a 29. So it's like, So like the curve of the two is like one of me, and then the slant of the two is another me, and the bottom of the two is another me.
I'm so happy. It made me so happy.
And then the cake writing said, haha, you're 29, which is par for the course for my family.
Good vibe. I love it so much.
Oh, I just exposed how old I am. That's fine. This is the perfect age to be podcasting.
It doesn't matter anymore. It's fine.
Yeah. Fantastic. Do you have any plans with your family for the rest of the week, or Do you see them?
Honestly, it's been very chaotic. And I've just had a very long weekend in my hometown where most of my family lives. So that's been very nice. But I feel like I'm going to do something nice in the weekend that I still have to think what it shall be. But that's okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that's a good, nice intro.
Good, nice intro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tick the boxes.
Yeah. So from our birthdays to yours, hope you're having a great week. I don't know what that transition was.
Wow. Beautiful.
But with that, I suppose we're just going to jump into the podcast.
Yeah.
For our podcast, we each bring a topic to the table for us to discuss. We haven't told each other what the topics are. That's kind of the surprise of it. And we end every episode with a prompt. But first, I believe I am presenting my topic first.
Yes, I think so too. Bring it on.
Okay. In celebration of your birthday, I decided to choose a topic that is probably pretty familiar to you in particular.
Oh, okay.
I'm hoping to tap into your
mean?
expertise and your knowledge because my topic today is theater.
Hey,
we're going to talk a little bit about
good old
theater.
Never enough talk about theater. Let's go.
Of course. Now, this is an interesting topic because a lot of people, to be quite honest, even though they watch movies and they read books and they watch TV shows, a lot of people have never really gone to a theater to watch any sort of show or play or any sort of performance.
Yeah.
It seems a little old school, just a little bit out of date for most people. Like, why go to a theater? Why walk into a building?
It's a little snobby, isn't it? Yeah.
To watch a show.
Bit. Yeah.
When movies can have whole robots and dinosaurs appear on screen with no issue at all. Why go to a theater and watch something that you could easily just watch on TV nowadays?
Fair enough. Yeah.
So I don't really have a background in theater. I've performed on stage before in some skits and acts that I've helped. I was a bit of partly a scriptwriter for my org in college, and that's basically the extent to what I got to.
Okay, but I feel like you've had some stage things going, right? Like more music related.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, it's still like performing on stage.
That is true. Yeah. But with that, so I have, since I have a history of script writing and I have a history of music, I've always felt like I'm just 1 degree away from being a theater kid.
You're so close. Yeah, it's true.
I have quite a bit of friends who have joined the performing arts, specifically in the theater, at least at my uni. But among the two of us, one of us is a talented singer, has been a cast member in a handful of productions throughout their life, has been a stage performer, and the other person is me. So
that's very unequal, but sure. Okay, if you want to call it that.
I do want to bounce it over to you. For people who are still a bit unfamiliar with theater in the modern era, what is theater and why is it so unique in this day and age? Like, what does it do, or what does it offer that people can't quite find in the typical consumption of stories?
Yeah, that's a great place to start, I feel. Because this is very often the overlooked reason for people that hate theater. I have so many friends that really hate theater.
Hate theater?
I mean, they find musicals and stuff so tacky. I'm not sure what's going on in their brain, but I mean, for some reason, I have all these people around me that hate musicals. And I don't know how. Not all of them, by far not all of them, thank goodness for me. But I feel like, maybe to start this off, I feel like a live performance, because that's what's setting it apart mostly, right? The fact that it's a live thing that you watch in an actual location. You're spending 2.5 or 2 hours of your life just looking at a live thing going on. That's something that's not there in movies or in music or in, stuff that's pre-recorded or that you sort of consume on your own, like books. That's a very individual experience, right? And in a theater, you can't make theater on your own. You can't consume that on your own unless, you watch all the bootlegs that are on YouTube. That's definitely not what I'm doing.
Hey, we don't talk about bootlegs on our podcast.
No, what's a bootleg? That's not real.
There's such thing as a bootleg.
No.
Yeah.
Only live performances here. But the fact that the theater is such a sort of collaborative space where it exists, and then when you leave, it's not there anymore. It's a single night happening. I mean, of course, they do it every night or every weekend or something, but each performance can't be literally the same thing like a movie is, right? So the originality and the fact that it's literally live, like somebody is, breathing and standing and moving around you like any other person would, even though it's in this theater setting, that's something very special and unique about it. And it really feels like you're sharing a moment, because you are. And in a movie,
It's
that
true.
moment is the sort of ultimate moment. And then they cut together the most beautiful version of, a set of moments that they've been filming, like 3, 4, 5 takes of the same scene. And then that's the final thing. And that's going to be always what it is. There's no like 5 versions of a film. And in theater, you can't do that because it's live. That's the whole point of it. And I think that's the thing that I love about it most. Yeah. So that's a good, like, very, very
There's a good start.
base version
It's
of
live.
what's going on. Yeah. And I think secondly, the fact that it takes a lot of suspension of disbelief to go to a theater. And over the years, because theater's been around forever, right? This started in like,
Yes.
what are those called? Like the Coliseum kind of open theater things with like the good acoustics and stuff. The sort of gladiator fight scene.
I'm sure there's a proper word that we're forgetting, but it's fine.
I'm like thinking as I talk. Yeah, the Coliseum kind of version, right? And it's been around forever, and it's transitioned from opera to more kind of casual poppy things or very intimate settings, or like I think that's called like framed theater. I don't know if that's the literal English word, but in Dutch you call it framed theater, where that basically means you look into a box, kind of. You look through the fourth wall instead of that something's happening around you or something, which is also more happening now. There's a lot of changes here, but I feel like the fact that theater sort of thrives on the suspension of disbelief, like you as the audience are allowed and almost like needing to go with the performers, right? Otherwise you're just 2 hours sitting there like, yeah, but you're not really called Sarah. I mean, that's not a real dragon. Like, I know it's paper, right? So, I mean, if you just do that all the time, it doesn't work. Of course it doesn't work. I mean, honestly, that's maybe not even unique to theater. The same happens to books, right? Like, if you just say, yeah, this is not real. It's just like letters. Like, I'm just holding letters now. That's not like, what does that even mean? Yeah, you can't do anything because then you literally can't enjoy it. You can't consume it.
Yeah. As if a giant would come to my house and tell me I'm a wizard. That never happened.
Yeah. That's not what the real world is. Yeah, exactly. But in theater, like, there's a lot of things that are not real. Like, specifically like decor and stuff and like props and I don't know, the fact that people kind of fade in and out and just disappear on the sides.
Of course.
And the fact that people are constantly toward you or talking louder than they would be in a normal setting, because that's just, otherwise you wouldn't understand what they're doing or saying, right? There's a lot of stuff there that evolves around it. But I think the theater pieces that I love so much are the ones that play with it and do it so beautifully that you sort of want to be there and you want to you sort of allow yourself to share in that in a way. And I think that's very beautiful when that happens. And it's also pretty hard. Like, a lot of theater is not my favorite thing because it just doesn't really hit the spot. So I also understand if people don't like musicals from like a general standpoint. But yeah, if done right, it's such a good art form, you guys. It's really nice. Go to the theater.
So I love what you touched on there with the live aspect. I think it takes a special kind of talent to be on stage and present a story over and over and over again and nail it every single time. And there is something so unique about it because, you know, like you said, in movies, there's a final cut and everybody watches that final cut.
Yeah.
But when you watch something in theater, there are these slight nuances and changes between every single performance that may or may not be intentional, but it might just be how a prop falls onto the stage or the positioning of an actor or a slip up of a line or something that they notice in the crowd and have the choice to break the fourth wall and interact. There is such a small barrier between the actual performance and the people watching it that it feels like there's a collaboration between them. That you can't find when you are just listening to a song on your iPad or on your iPod, or you're watching a TV show where there's a proper screen in between you.
Yeah.
It's something very human. And when you can see the person on stage, sometimes you see the gears clicking between one scene to the next. Sometimes you see the nuances of their performance that are trained over multiple times, like a single kick of the toe or a look or a glance in a certain direction, like the nuance of their face or their jaw when they hear a line or when they react to somebody doing something. All of those things have been slowly but surely honed over multiple performances to the point that it has evolved upon itself from its original creation. It's a work in the making, right in the
as it's going on. Yeah.
Live. The word is live, right?
For sure.
It's happening live.
And I think that also touches on the fact that it's just so amazing to watch someone be consistently amazing at something.
Yes.
The craftsmanship of performance is really, I mean, it's there in movies too, but because it's a one-time thing, it's a sort of capture of a cool thing. In theater, a performer needs to do it over and over and over again every night. And the fact that somebody can do that every night, and the fact that they do it so effortlessly, because that's the trick of it, right? That you want it to look effortlessly and feel like it's a natural thing that you're doing. I just love to watch people that are so skilled at something. It doesn't even matter what it is, but this definitely also counts for why I love theater. If somebody is an amazing singer and I can see them do that sort of extraordinary feat, because not everyone can do that. That's really cool. That's so cool to me. It's such an amazing thing to be like in that moment with them live. I feel like that's also why people love other stuff. That's why, the Olympic Games exist, right? It's the same thing. Performers are also, in a way, athletes. It's just, I guess, a more curated or creative approach to it. But like singers they're training a muscle. So yeah, that's a big part of it as well.
Like the talent behind a live production is enormous. I had the privilege of watching Hadestown on Broadway in New York City with the original cast, which was a very big surprise to me. I'm just gonna throw a small flex. And I remember listening to the actress for Persephone, or the performer for Persephone, who is Eva Noblezada. And when she sings, it's like the notes just fall out of her. Like there is no effort, there is no exertion, at least visibly. She could be. It seems like she sings as comfortably as breathing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you sing these songs at this quality 6 days a week?
Yeah.
I'm like,
that's wild.
That blew my mind. I'm like, how is that possible? Like I get my throat gets sore after singing like half of one song. Right. And you kill like 8 to 10 numbers every single night.
Yeah.
Wild.
That's pretty ridiculous. Yeah. I don't think people realize actually in general, like that singing is just a muscle, like you're training a muscle.
Yes.
So if you don't keep it up or if you don't train it, it doesn't work. Like you can be as talented as you want, but if you don't train it, there's nothing's going to help you there. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And how they always say like triple threat, singer, actor, dancer. Oftentimes theater productions require a multitude of talents. It's while you're singing, there's also stage positioning. There's movement, there's interaction and dialogue that you have to memorize, like whole scripts, 1.5 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour scripts that you have to like memorize and be a part of and have so down pat that you cannot have a single mistake, right?
Yeah.
It's 20 to 30 people all working in a cohesive unit, all remembering their parts, their positioning, their lines to make sure that the audience is properly immersed in a story.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Movies don't have to worry about that. Books don't have to worry about that.
No, that's true. I mean, there's a lot of people that work at movies, but once they got it, they can go home, right? And theater is like the continuous effort of doing that at the highest level that you can possibly do, and then do it every night for years, if you're lucky as a production. And also this reminds me of, I think there's a word for something that's been done by many, many people. And it's called Gesamtkunstwerk, which is German for collaborative artwork or something. And I think it really ties back to very often what people call these big kind of impactful productions that all work towards the same output. And this reminds me also of a very, very awesome video that I saw by the American Theater Wing, which I think has a YouTube channel with like all kinds of backstage stuff and super informative and super fascinating to watch if you're into theater. So look that up if you want.
Nice.
But they have one video on the lighting design of one specific production they were working on. I forgot which one it was. But then they just had, I guess, like a 20-minute interview or something with the 2 or 3 main lighting designers of that show or of the American Theater Wing. And it was so beautiful to hear them just, I mean, I'm a visual artist as well, but I never thought about lighting in my life because it's just not the main focus that I ever think of. And it's such a subtle thing, right? That adds to the whole shebang, I guess.
Yeah.
They were just talking for 20 minutes about lighting design. And I never had a moment more in my life where I realized how so many things tie into each other. Like you could see them almost sculpt with light. Like there was one performer on the stage and they had very avant-garde lighting fixtures and stuff, so they had a lot of tools to work with, I guess. But the fact that they were like, okay, this is a scene and it needs to rain and he needs to sort of fight his way through the rain, kind of. And we see him from the side, so we see a sort of en profile where he's trying to reach the left of the stage. And I mean, we don't have rain. So how do we make this feel like rain and like wind and effort and like painful stakes, right? Without rain. So
yeah.
And then you just see them experiment with color or with how they light up his face or how shiny the scene gets or not. And it's so abstract, but they know so well what they're doing. And it was just a wonderful example to me how there's so many things involved in theater and so many people working on the top of what they can do, basically, to sort of add to the whole, well, I guess suspension of disbelief, but also the immersion of it in general. Yeah, very awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if you as a watcher of a performance, if the lighting catches your attention, they either did something very wrong or did something very right. Otherwise, 90% of the time, it's super subtle and it helps, like, as you said, immerse the watcher in the story. And there's so many things like that. There's prop work. There's the orchestra. Obviously, the stagehands who make sure everything continues flowing. It's incredible. It's a concerted effort.
Yeah, that's very cool. And in terms of like decor and stuff, I think specifically Hadestown, because Hadestown, if I remember correctly from the photos that I saw online, is a sort of circular design, right? Where you sort of sit half moon kind of around the stage, and there on the stage there's also
a full
sort
moon.
of you're like fully around.
Oh, you mean the stage? You mean the watchers? The watchers, yeah,
the audience,
watchers.
Right? Okay, yeah. Okay, then I remember correct. Yeah. Then as the audience, you're not separate from the stage at all. You're kind of around it, in between it, which already feels more interesting or engaging. Specifically, I want to name the example of the show called Natasha and Pierre in the Comet of 1812, I think, which is based on Tolstoy or something, quite a classical novel.
Okay.
And I saw the pictures of the decor online of that one, and it's basically, it feels kind of like a dinner show or something. Like there's all these kinds of little platforms and circular sort of walkways, and the people are kind of all around in between the decor. The first opening number is kind of a cast call where everybody's like introduced as their character, right? And they walk around and you're literally right in the middle of it. And I found that a very
amazing,
cool example of like, there's no denying you're in it now. You can't distance yourself from it because you're literally part of the scene now, which is very cool as well.
Right.
There's so many ways that you can play with this fourth wall versus, directly addressing versus embedding or not embedding, which also makes it a very cool art form because it's so complicated and it has so many layers. There's a lot of variation that you can do in it, I guess, or try out. Like there's 2 theater shows can be so wildly different because there's so many subcategories of art disciplines involved in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's always a little bit mind-bending when like the actors or some of the cast end up like in the aisles or behind the audience or from the upper rafters, like beyond the stage, where it feels like you are properly there, right?
Yeah.
There's significant possibility of fourth wall breaking when the actor can be right next to you.
When the wall is not there.
Like, imagine if like, what do you call it? Christian Bale just appeared in the movie theater next to you yelling his lines, right? Like
that'd be wild. Yeah.
It's truly a surreal experience and something that it can only be truly appreciated, like being there, being present and breathing the same air as the people who are singing and dancing and acting.
Yeah, for sure.
Doing incredible things.
And you, as a New Yorker, I can be very jealous of because you're like in the heat of the theater beautifulness that's happening, and I'm on the other side of the world, and I'm very sad about it.
I'm telling you got to come through.
I mean, we have like theater vibes here, but it's nothing compared to New York, so it's got to happen,
I've had the privilege of watching, I think it's only 3 like major Broadway, which are like Aladdin, Lion King, and
that one's actually in Holland now. I saw that one with my roommate.
Oh, awesome. That's wonderful.
That was fun.
And especially for Lion King, like they have all of the physical props of all the animals that they have to depict, which is wild. And they're walking through the aisles.
Super cool. Yeah. And
there's a scene where Simba like has to like run from the front of the stage all the way to the back of the theater and then disappear in the back stairs.
Right.
And it's wonderful. Like it's incredible to witness these things as they're happening. And of course, I guess of the recent era, like Hamilton took the world by storm in terms of its ingenuity and innovation in music styling, in the lyrics of the actual production and how it blends like a historical concept with a modern music feel.
Yeah, for sure. Also in terms of subject matter in general, like the combination of things was very exciting in that one.
Yeah. And there is this palpable change in acts as that reflect like current events, that reflect The state of the world. They're on Hadestown. They always somewhere in the middle. They always take a drink to to honor the people who are like lost and confused, and to shed light onto current events, even though they don't necessarily bring up the context of them. There is like a moment of appreciation and meditation specifically for that before they continue the rest of their performance. It's a very personal connection that you're having with incredibly talented people. But that's me just gushing about how much I've kind of grown into love this this form of art.
Part of the group. What
not
of
something
us?
I grew up with.
Yeah.
Or not something I grew up with or participated.
That's awesome.
Incredible.
I feel like everyone that sort of grows into theater just needs to find that one production that really changes your mind about it.
Right.
I remember I was pretty young. I think I was like 8 or something, or 10. And my mother took me to Tarzan, the Dutch version of it.
Ooh.
I think I was 7 because I remember it was here in like 2007 or 8. And there was this one moment where the performer for Jane goes into the jungle of Tarzan's home for the first time. And she's like, wow, these are all the species I studied and I feel so at home here. And that's kind of the whole song. So there's a lot of exotic flowers showing off and be like, wow, the jungle's so beautiful. That's the sort of idea of that part of the show. And I remember that all kinds of things were sort of above us in the audience. It was a classic theater in terms of like the audience was just in front of a sort of square stage, right? But there was a lot of people like hanging from the ceiling that were like butterflies or sort of floating, I don't know, animals, or I can't remember. But there was this one girl that was super beautiful. And she was kind of showing off one of the exotic butterflies that Jane was singing about. And she was super close. And I was like 8 and I loved Wings Club and musicals, you know? And this was a moment where I was like, oh my God, what is this beautifulness? Is this theater?
Is this theater?
I will remember that forever. It's not even like my favorite show to date, but that's just
so
such
funny.
a beautiful nostalgia where I was like, wow, I want to be this when I grow up. I want to be a butterfly girl. And, you know, I'm getting pretty close, if I may say so myself. Yeah.
And in that moment, a theater kid was born.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I feel like everyone has this moment at some point. It's very good. It's really nice.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Theater's great.
Yeah. To kind of close the topic, I suppose, it's just such a unique form of storytelling. And over the years, over many centuries, right, the art form has not, it's advanced and it's innovated, but at its very core, it hasn't really changed because there's something uniquely powerful and magical about being there with live performers and witnessing experts at their craft, right?
Yeah, for sure. And maybe to say one more thing.
Of course.
The thing that I also love about theater is the fact that a lot of good production don't really age because either they take place in a specific time. So whether I watch Hamilton now or whether I watch it 20 years in the future, it's still going to take place in like 1800s or something.
Right.
So the costumes or something wouldn't be
1700s. I'm sorry.
Out of date. Yeah, it would still work. And Hamilton is not the best example for this, but like, I don't know, The King and I or something, like a classical or Sound of Music. It would still take place in that same age. So it wouldn't matter if I see it 20 years in the future or 20 years in the past. And I think that's also why it's holding up so well. Like there's a lot of shows now that have very diverse settings or time periods. And I think that's very cool because you can watch them for a long time and they can be revived or done again and over again. And they're very timeless in that way.
Yeah. Wonderful. Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you for enlightening us on that. Good topic. All right. We'll bounce over to your topic then.
Yeah, sure. My topic is not at all about live performances, but it is a very exciting one. I don't know how I came to this, but it popped in my brain and I loved it. I was like, is this a bridge? Nah, not really. I'm just going to say it. We're going to talk for 20 minutes or so about spy movies because they're very cool. Movies. And we love us some good spy movies. I'm perhaps not the best advocate for all spy movies ever, but the whole vibe of it is very awesome to me. To start it off with a similarly nostalgic, beautiful moment where I was like, spies are so cool. Wait, is this one DVD that me and my brother had in our parents' home from like Spy Kids, the movie. I don't know if you've seen this.
Exactly.
It's the weirdest movie. Sorry.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to bring up. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good start.
I was at a festival last weekend, like small music festival in my hometown with my brother and my dad. And somehow the Spy Kids movie came up and we were like,
Amazing.
we watched that a lot of times, but wasn't this like a very weird movie actually, now that I think about it? And we started to like remember what it was about. And then I remembered like these weird, what's it called? Like helpers that were in the shape of like fingers and stuff.
Yes.
There was like Antonio Banderas, who was the very cool spy dad. And there was a weird uncle. And there was like a gadget room, and I don't
Danny
know
Trejo,
what.
I think was the uncle. It was incredible.
Oh yeah, sure. And I really feel like I want to watch it again with like adult eyes now, because the things that I remember from it are very cool and very strange, and I don't understand the concept anymore. That was like the first solid spy movie, actual spy movie that I watched, aside from like Totally Spies and stuff. And I think it has all the beautiful things.
It has everything.
The gadgets, the secrecy. The, adventurous living on the edge, saving the world vibes to it. The cool, like, montage scenes where they suit up and put everything in their backpack and go for the quest, right?
Right.
If you were going to bring up the Spy Kids movie as well, why? What was the main catch for you?
Okay. I think Spy Kids movie was a generational touch point. Where
Amen.
a whole lot of kids were introduced to the spy genre. I think it doesn't necessarily hold up. I gotta say, it is not. There's a lot of very strange things that happen in that movie, and I can only wonder what our parents were thinking when they were watching it with us, because boy, was it unusual. But that said, being able to see like actual kids take part in what is usually reserved for like, high performing James Bond-esque sort of actors. To just see two kids up there and doing it, like wearing all the cool gadgets, going into the secret lair.
Very awesome. Yeah. Obviously.
And indeed, when they said like, oh, your parents are spies, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I wonder if my parents are spies, that kind of thing.
Of course, yeah. This crosses everyone's mind. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, it launched a generation of like McDonald's spy toys and really cool things to wear on your wrist and your glasses.
Yes.
All the Happy Meals. They had like a little thing you could put.
I have
like
no idea, but I
visor,
trust you, man.
And like a wristband.
Were they like literally
scene,
like based off of the movie? Or was it like, hey, here's also cool spy gadgets, I guess?
I mean, obviously they were made of like $3 plastic. But
yeah. But like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, they were cool. Like, remember that one scene in Spy Kids where I forget the boy's name, the one with the curly hair.
Yeah.
But he like puts a visor, like a monocle scanner over his eye, and then like 8 more of them like appear in front of it as if it's like zooming in really fast.
Oh, yeah.
That was the coolest thing. It makes no sense to me now as an adult, but boy, was that super sick when it's just like enhance, click. It's like 8 things appear in front of his right eye.
Awesome. I only remember like the camera that was as tiny as tinier than your finger.
Yes.
In my brain,
wow.
I just like 1 second ago, I was like, what if that was in the Happy Meal and there was just nothing there?
Oh no.
That would be like very bad marketing.
Like, you don't see anything. I don't see anything,
nothing.
Mom.
That's
Where's
because it's
toy?
so tiny.
It's too funny. But I mean, let's talk about the appeal of spy movies. It's the tension, right? It's the suspense. It's the larger than life gadgets that are super cool and could never really exist. It gives me like Men in Black energy. Like when you like open up into a room and there's all these cool things that only are useful in the context of breaking into somewhere or sneaking in. Do you think of like Totally Spies? Every episode they had new gadgets that they got to use.
So cool.
It's like a lipstick that can also be used as a laser, cool, crazy things like that.
Very awesome.
It really tested like your imagination of like, what is really possible? Like, are these things feasible? Like in real life? Like, does the CIA and the FBI have access to all these super cool gadgets that they're just hiding from us? We'd never know as normal civilians. It played with your imagination of possibility. The tension of breaking into somewhere. Like we've always like a lot of us. I can't say everybody, but we've thought about like what would it be like to sneak in and steal the Declaration of Independence, Nick Cage style? Like what do I need to know? How talented do I need to be to do that?
How do I approach this? Yeah.
What would that look like? Right. Now the what do you call it? The movie with Nick Cage that I'm blanking on that has this happen. Oh. Wow. I totally losing.
Look it up.
Yeah. Give me a second.
This
I'll
is
look
worth
it up.
it. Yeah.
Google.
We'll cut it out.
Nicolas Cage, Declaration of Independence, National Treasure. The movie's called National
okay.
Treasure, where he has to steal the Declaration of Independence. And I love how the first question when I Google this is, did Nick Cage steal the Declaration of Independence? The question has been answered. No, Nick Cage has not actually stolen the Declaration of Independence.
I love
and
that
no,
people
he doesn't
look
think
this
he
up.
could. Wonderful. Great. So that's not exactly a perfect spy movie. That's more of like a heist style.
I haven't seen it, but
like
it
Indiana
sounds
Jones.
very fancy. Yeah.
You haven't seen National Treasure?
I have not seen National Treasure.
Real. We're going to put that next to Jumanji as things
God.
you probably should watch.
Oh, no. Okay.
National Treasure is
Getting ready for it. Yeah.
incredible. Maybe that's just me as a a proud American, you know. But
yeah. Is it very like American, like eagle
it's very
flags and
American-centric.
stuff?
No, it's not like freedom and justice for all. It's not one of those things where you hold your hand over your heart or anything like that. But it's basically Nick Cage has the goal to steal incredible documents to find a treasure that only the founding fathers of the U.S. knew about. You know, a secret like Freemason style Illuminati.
Okay.
There is a treasure that they've hidden, and only the people who wrote the Declaration of Independence knew what that was, and they've left secrets behind in national monuments and items of the past and things like that.
That sounds like a spy movie, though. I mean, hello, clues and everything.
Yeah, I mean, Listen, I think that's Nick Cage's best work. I think that there's nothing that has changed his career as much as National Treasure. It is
interesting.
I'm pretty sure it holds up. I think it's pretty good. But whatever.
Okay. It's on the list.
Me speaking as a red, white, and blue patriot.
Awesome.
I love that movie. Very much. Anyway, spy movies. What are we talking about? Okay, so you brought this topic up. Besides, cultural touchstones like Spy Kids, what kind of brings you to this genre? Like, what does it do better than anything else? That sort of thing.
Okay, we touched upon this earlier. I can't remember which episode it was, but for me, the biggest selling points are exactly what you were saying, like secrets that are suddenly uncovered, like a world under the world. I remember there's one. Yes. I think it was a translated book, but I read it in Dutch. I'm not sure. But it's called Kiki Strike. It was a children's novel. Not super good because I reread it lately and I was like, well, it's kind of okay. When I borrowed this from the library, when I was like, 12 or something, Kiki Strike, the main character, was the most awesome, secretive, broody, talented person that I knew of. And in this book, she basically did one of the things that I love most about spy things or adventurous heist kind of movies or stories in general, which is the assemble the team of specialists trope. We talked about this, but I feel like I should address it because in spy movies specifically, this is a very well-earned part of the storyline. So Kiki Strike, or the person that needs to figure something out, the main person that knows their shit and needs cool people to help them out with it, is assembling a bomb explosion specialist, or a person that can hack into the computer system of the bank, or a person that's forging all of their documents to prove that they're really part of the cleaning team of this very highly secured vault that they're definitely not part of the cleaning team for. And the whole sort of convincing people, finding people in their natural habitat, the trope of like, well, I've done that in the past, but it's been years. And then they do it anyway. Yes. Oh, it's so satisfying. I'm so happy whenever
I'm out of the game. You can't pull me back in. Yeah.
Uh-huh. This is like that one Phineas and Ferb episode where they're going to reassemble the band Love Handle. Do you know this reference?
No, I have no idea, but that sounds amazing.
Such a side tangent, but it's worth it. There's like one band, Love Handle, and they're all like middle-aged men now, and they've fallen apart years ago. And then for some reason, Phineas and Ferb want to bring them back together, and they're gonna look them up. And then the drummer is working in a library, and he's like, yeah, but I don't really have the rhythm anymore. I just lost it. And then he does like a certain thing with his stamping the books very rhythmically, and they're like, but look at what you're doing. You have such rhythm, and it's a beautiful song. This is basically the trope, but then spy version. It's one of my favorites. I think it's so cool when people are skilled and cool and mysterious, or like they have been in the past and now they're sort of dusting off the old skills again, which is very satisfying to me. That's one of the very cool things. And maybe in general, this falls into the whole kind of prep of, I guess, the first third of the movie where you realize that you're going to do like something very cool and spy secretive. That's going to be very hard. So you need the right people, right? Assembling the team, as I talked about. Then you need the right tools, which is the most awesome thing because all the gadgets are so inventive and cool. I wish I was part of like a spy movie team just to think of what gadgets they could possibly have, because it sounds like the most fun job in the world ever to me. I feel like the prep part of this is maybe my favorite, and then the whole adventure is also cool if it's cool, but the prep is like, yes, let's fucking go, we're ready.
And what's another cool thing about heist movies is after they assemble all the team and after they lay out their plan, right? There's always like, here's how it's going to go down, and they do like they hit the music and they show like what it's supposed to look like. And that's usually like the intro of them actually doing the job.
Montage. Yeah.
And like clockwork, something goes wrong. Right? Someone's working that day that they shouldn't be working that day, or something is weirdly out of place, like what they're looking for is missing, or one of the gadgets starts to malfunction, or it's something.
Or someone shows up that recognizes them and is gonna like throw the whole secrecy in the water. Yeah.
And you're about to blow up the bank, but it turns out your love interest just walked through the door. Like, what are you gonna do? There's always
complications. We love them.
And watching the improvising, it's not if it's a movie, obviously it's all scripted, but watching the improvising happen, like
still cool.
Like you got to rely on your talents to like navigate the new twist on your original plan. That is so much fun.
Yeah.
Just watching how they figure that out, and it slowly builds in tension. And do you think, are they going to do it? Are they going to pull it off? What's going to happen? What are the consequences? Will they escape safely? Is this a happy ending? All of those things. It's just like a very classic rise to tension, but there's a very specific brand of it that you know what it's going to feel like, and you kind of know what it's going to look like, but watching it play out is the most exciting thing, right?
Yeah, it doesn't even matter that we kind of already know that it's gonna probably go well and they end up having the thing, because that's usually how they end. It's just very cool to watch it play out. That's exactly right.
Yeah, exactly that. And obviously, one of the classic twists, one of the members of the team is a traitor or a backstabber. It's like the camera pans and you see someone pointing the gun at the other person's head, and it's like, oh, I knew it was the hacker. How could I have forgotten? You know?
You're angry with them. It's beautiful. And also, I think in general, it's a testament to good writing if you do those twists well. It's one thing to write or, think of how this heist is going to play out in the characters, like the thing that you were saying, like they have a plan beforehand, right? But it's another thing to then turn that plan on its head multiple times, ideally, and do it so well that it still works out in a whole different way. It's like finding a backdoor that you didn't know existed. And that's very cool. And that's, I think, pretty hard to write also, like just as a sort of writing exercise. That's not very easy to do. So it's very cool if it's done well. And I think spy movies are one of the perfect kind of genres for doing this well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we get a little bit of insight on how difficult that is when, at least for me, when I run D&D, the hardest thing to run is a heist session, because there are hours and hours of planning that your players do on how the mission is supposed to go. They really think the whole process through.
Yep.
And then when it plays out, it all just falls apart every single time. It's very, very difficult to get that going. And for a DM to pull the intrigue of the twist, or to kind of cover or be ready for anything your players could come up with, that balance
Super
or that
tricky.
dynamic between the players and the storyteller is always so tricky. And so it's not a see goblin, kill goblin, take money kind of thing. That's easy.
Yeah,
but
for
a heist, to make layers and layers and layers for things for your players to interact with and go through, like different floors of a building or different keep saves, things like that. Oh, it's so detailed and so intricate. There's a true art form to telling heist stories in a way that is gripping and keeps the audience on edge, because there's always going to be one person in the audience who's like, oh, I knew they were going to do that. Oh, why didn't you just do this? You could just use dynamite on that door. There's always like layers to it that you have to make sure your audience believes that you're telling a believable, realistic story of a team of professionals, right?
And also in D&D specifically, like, thank God as a DM you're like at the table with them as they plan. Because if you were, like, that would be thrice as hard, because then they would be like, okay, so what if we just enter through, I don't know, the backdoor entrance, or what if we like start in the sewers, and then if you don't know any of that shit, you're gonna improvise like right from the start, which is even worse.
Yeah. And he's gonna disguise himself as a noble, and you're going to pretend to be a monkey, and we're gonna have the baby carriage, and it's all these things that you could have never ever prepared for.
Yeah. So thank goodness you have like the first step sort of in your periphery before starting. Did you do a lot of heists? I did, I think, one of them. For me, it worked out quite well to already kind of prepare a few twists based on the things that I knew were going to happen. Like I would have like one person from one of their backstories suddenly be there, even though they weren't like noble at all. This was kind of like a high-end party that they were supposed to be going to and then stealing something or finding out stuff. And that worked pretty well. But then sort of what they do with it, you really don't know where it's going to go. And that's very exhilarating and terrifying.
Yeah, I've run my fair share of break into the castle encounters where the treasures are like on the top floor and stuff like that.
Sure.
And more than once, I've been foiled by realizing that one of the players is like, I cast fly to go up the wall. And I'm like, well, there goes 5 hours of prep. Just throw it out.
Yep.
So to have fail safes and covers and to make things
D&D has a lot of backdoors, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's made for improv, which is hard and cool at the same time.
Yeah, to make things that are
good stuff.
Purposefully engaging while still shining a light on the many talents of the actual team.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very delicate balance.
It's a very delicate, But if done right, you know, you gotta have it. Yeah, it's a charm.
I would absolutely recommend Spy Kids.
Of course, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you haven't watched it.
This is like part of the canon here.
I think Spy Kids is definitely something you have to watch at a certain age to really appreciate. But I mean, you could watch it in hindsight, and I'm sure it'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Obviously, recommend National Treasure. Not quite a spy movie, as much of a heist movie, but do it. You know,
still ticks the boxes. Yeah. Sure.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay.
Love it.
And with that, we're going to step into the last part of our podcast, which is the prompt. I had an idea, but I'm going to try to combine it with something that we've with the topics that we've covered today. I think this is appropriate.
Okay.
Tell me things. Actually, this won't be like you won't have to pitch a story here. Tell me things that you will only see on a theater performance of Spy Kids at a middle school.
Whoa! Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh Jesus. Okay. Tell you things that are only going to happen in a middle school production of Spy Kids.
That's exactly what it is. Perfect.
Okay. Well, there's definitely the thing where like the sort of obvious kids that don't really want to be in a theater play but have to like participate. They are all going to be like the helpers that are shaped like fingers.
Oh no.
Obviously.
The worst.
There's a lot of them. This is like the third tree, but then like Spy Kids version.
Okay,
you know?
Help me out. How does the what do you call it? How does the team make fingers? Like, what does that look like as props? How's the prop team make these fingers?
I feel like they have sort of crowns instead of maybe like full suit, which would be so bad and awful. And I feel very bad for these imaginary middle schoolers that I'm imagining now. I feel like they would have like crowns that just look like a thumbnail, literally, or something. I mean, yeah. I feel like all kinds of crappy costume versions are going to be very shitty. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Then, okay. I feel like if they are a very fancy, like extracurricular school with a lot of theater people, right? Theater clubs that are part of the decor building or the prop building, they would probably do like a pre-taped video of a specific part in the scene where they introduce the tiniest camera in the world, and then they play the video and they're like, wait, that just recorded it? And then you see nothing. But then the whole point is that it's actually a camera, even though we don't really have anything. That's going to be very ingenious. Cool. That's very inventive, and they're going to be super proud of that in the decor department. I feel like there's very much a leather jacket vibe involved here. These are accessible, right? So you can have like leather jackets and sunglasses, and these kids will look like the coolest people in the world, even though they're just kiddos. That's going to be very cool. Anything else? Let me think. What's another staple of the Spy Kids movies? They have a lot of like locations and stuff too.
Yeah. They're going to have just giant cardboard signs that say Spain, America.
Yeah. For sure.
Deserted island, and you have one guy like holding like palm tree leaves.
Yeah. There is a third tree after all. Beautiful.
Tree number 3.
Yeah. Awesome. There's going to be the one kid that's going to be actually very, very good in theater and maybe going to like want to continue with it. Yes. He's definitely going to be like the uncle because he's the most interesting, like random guy. He's the one that should kind of sell this to the kids, right? So he's got to be like a pretty decent actor or actress. What else?
Absolutely. There's always that one theater kid who's very, very talented.
Yeah. And I feel like the uncle is the main part for that, or the villain. But I literally forgot like the entire second half of that movie. I only remember like the cool gadgets and the fact that they infiltrate into like the hallways and stuff. But I don't know how this movie ends at all anymore. Or who they're like beating and stuff. But that's
I'm pretty sure the enemy is Floop. Only because I remember if you rewind the tape of the fingers going down to slide, it says Floop is a bad man. Help us, save us.
Oh,
you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Holy shit. Whoa. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's right. This is such a weird movie. What the hell?
It is so strange.
Isn't he like super campy and sort of like dressed fancy and stuff? Is that the guy?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I got like a Willy Wonka kind of vibe from him.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, he's got to be like a pretty... I mean, maybe he doesn't even need to be a good actor, but he just doesn't need to be like embarrassed in like random clothes or saying lines really loud, you know, like that. He's kind of got to be okay with that.
There's a whole process of like face makeup and a very crazy wig.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, absolutely.
And then like the two main kids are probably either the athletes of the school or the ones that are at least looking pretty cool or can like kick people very cool.
Yes.
I feel like they need to have like some martial arts in their bones, you know, even if it's just a little. That's fine. We're like middle school level here. That's okay.
One of the kids is definitely like the popular kid. You know, he's the one that gets all the main roles,
including the cool spy role. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, of course. There's always one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and they have like the middle school band adding music behind.
Yeah, I was
scene.
gonna say, like, is this a musical? I feel like it's not a musical, but I kind of want it to be. What does that even mean? Spy Kids the musical? That's gonna be. I don't know what I think of that.
No, picture yourself as the visionary performance arts teacher of this school, and they're like,
Big dreams.
It's never been done. Spy Kids musical. I'm gonna make that happen here at this school.
There's gonna be a whole song.
You know.
Okay. Here's my pitch, though. There's going to be a whole song that's going to be... The first half just sounds like a cool song, like from the enemy. That's like, beware, Spy Kids, you're gonna... I can't make lyrics up on the spot. That's not how it's going to look.
This is good. This is good. I'm writing this down.
But then the second part is going to be the entire lyrics in reverse. And then it's going to say,
ooh,
you're going to go down or something. Or it's going to say, I'm actually just a scary man, an afraid man, don't know what I'm going to do with my life and stuff. Yeah, I think that's very inventive and cool.
There's actually some great songs out there that don't do it word for word reverse, but it's like line by line. If you
really? That's wild.
If you say it or rap it in reverse, the whole direction of the song changes.
Oh, that's cool.
Wonderful.
This reminds me of like that. I don't know if you've seen it or heard it. The Matilda musical. It's written by Tim Minchin, one of my all-time favorite performers, or I guess lyricist, songwriter, or whatever. Right. And he wrote this one song for the musical that's called, I think, the Alphabet Song or the School Song. And then this is like the little kids go to primary school for the first time. The older kids are telling them, this is hell. Prepare for 8 years, like the worst years of your life, because this school is like very intense, right? And then it starts off with, it is a very smart lyric where the first refrain you just hear, oh, you think you're able to survive this mess by being a little princess, but you know, soon you'll see that this is way worse than you imagine. And then in the second half, the lyrics are exactly the same, but they sort of, in the decor and in the way they sing it, they highlight certain letters of the alphabet. Like the whole lyric is structured in like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, etc. So they're like, if you want to learn the alphabet, you can do it here, but it's going to be hell. And it's so cool. I will send it to you afterwards, but it's so smart.
Please,
and I
absolutely.
want kind of this vibe, but for the reverse song. That's going to be very cool.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah.
Any final things to add to this amazing Spy Kids musical middle school production? I
feel like the one final reveal in this is that they're also like going through the chairs or something, or through the audience in their sneaking through the hallways. Like the hallways are maybe in between the people or something. That's going to be cool. That's like avant-garde and breaking the fourth wall. I think that's all these middle schoolers are going to be able to take. So that's my pitch. There you go.
Got it. And there's one last thing I want to chuck on this, because I've seen this one too many times. One of the cast members is that one kid who knows how to do a backflip.
Oh, yeah,
and that's
sure.
it. And that's it. That's all they're there for. They're there for one scene. They do the cool backflip.
Every performance ever, they do a backflip. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets the crowd crazy, and he just ushered off because he doesn't actually know how to like.
He can't
sing
like perform or anything else. Yeah, he just does a backflip. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Great.
Sold.
I think this is yeah, let's pitch it. Middle schools near you.
Soon in middle schools near you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for celebrating our birthdays with us, I suppose.
Yay.
On this episode of Your Rivers Are Wrong. If you have any suggestions for topics, you can email us at yourriversarewrong@gmail.com. And as you work on your own personal mode of storytelling, whether it be in theater or the script for the next spy thriller, always remember, your rivers are wrong.
Yeah, they're still wrong.
Have a great one. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Your Rivers Are Wrong. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas for future episodes that you'd like to hear us cover, feel free to contact us at yourriversarewrong@gmail.com. Our intro and outro music is written by Maarten Schellekens. Thanks for that. And again, thank you so much for listening. We hope to see you at the next one.